I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Geno TV and Channel 99. Our guest today is Melissa Murphy.
Hello.
Melissa, welcome.
Thank you.
Melissa is the new Director of Tourism and Culture.
Yes.
For
we'll
the town,
flip it.
Culture and Tourism.
That's right. Catwoman.
Oh.
Just kidding.
For the town of Nantucket.
That's right.
Which
That's
is
right.
a bit of a change from what you were doing before as
is.
Director of the Dreamland.
It is. It's a wonderful change. You know, when I saw the job posting, and the original job was posted as Director of Special Events, Culture and Tourism, it really piqued my interest because I think that it demonstrated to me the town's commitment to focusing their energies on the mechanisms that support these, what we're calling economic engines for our community. So I threw my hat in the ring, and I was very pleasantly surprised when I was offered the position.
So what is your job description?
Sure. I would say that my job description is to oversee the Visitor Service Center. David Sharp, who's worked there for more than 18 years, is going to remain managing. His title is now Visitor Services Coordinator. So he'll run that operation, which we know is really important for our visitors, and our residents actually use a lot of our services as well. I am the town liaison to the cultural district. You may know that we were just recently designated as a cultural district by the state. So I will work with our local cultural district on that steering committee, as well as be a liaison to the state for questions, things like that, and to the town.
And maybe money.
And maybe money. That's right. That's right. And then the new part of what we're going to do is Amy Baxter is currently the licensing and permitting agent for the town, and we're going to hire a new person, and our office is going to really collect information about events that people want to host on public properties. So if you want to bring another festival, or if you want to bring another sporting event, some idea that you have, you would contact our office, and really we would vet the idea with you so that you're prepared with an event that really will be easier to license and then and permit. And then if it is granted, we'll manage the event and make sure that there's follow-up on the rules and regulations we set forth.
So Amy's going to come over and do this? Or
No, Amy's going to stay, work with the police station and do the licensing and permitting, and we're really going to take on the event management and coordination, that follow-up. I think what we're finding is that there are over 500 permits and licenses issued relative to events each year.
On town property.
On town property. I don't know that they're all on town property, but a majority are on town property or use pieces of town property. So it's a complicated juggernaut to figure out how to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and that people are benefiting, the public's benefiting, hopefully economically, from these events that we're permitting and bringing into the town. So it's a bit of a new position, a new it's an expansion of ideas that town administration has already been working on. So we'll see how that part goes. But clearly, in my experience, working with the Dreamland and in the nonprofit world for the past 7 years, I have a lot of experience on events and what will be successful on Nantucket and what maybe needs to change so that it can be successful. So those are the 3 areas that I will oversee.
Based on, just as an aside, based on my experience, it really takes a strong hand
Yes.
to manage events.
Yes.
Or it's not the day-to-day management, but the oversight. And
yes, working with the event partners and making sure that they're following those rules. Absolutely. And I think that, we want to both be welcoming and supportive, but at the same time make sure that people are following the rules that we set forth, because we're talking about the preservation of our relationships with neighbors and of our own property. So that's important to keep in mind.
It's 500. I had no idea.
Yeah, Amy processes a lot of permits and licenses, and a whole other part of what she still maintains is her licensing and permitting of liquor licenses for businesses and so on and so forth. So there's a whole other aspect that she'll maintain. We'll be the event liaisons. So.
What are your goals for yourself and for the department?
Yeah. I was asked what I would do in my first 90 days, and I said, a lot of listening. Because we're given the opportunity to have the organization, the department change a bit, one of the first things we're hoping to do is do an organizational assessment and really talk with our key stakeholders and partners, businesses in the district, and really understand what they want or see or envision for this department to help them accomplish. So we'll hopefully undertake that starting in May or June. And so for me, that will give a
Is that
really...
a smart thing to do at the peak of the season?
In some ways, I think it's a good time to start, only because if there's information that we want to collect, we'll be ready to ask those questions and collect that data through the summer. I don't think we're going to roll up our sleeves and actually come up with results in the summer, but I really would like to jumpstart and get the questions asked before the season hits. I think that we've got a couple of new, we're doing some painting inside of the Visitor Service Center and bringing in some technology that we think will be of service to our visitors, so that's exciting. And we're launching a new volunteer program called the Downtown Island Ambassador Program, where high school age students and up can sign up to be a volunteer for us. They will have
age 16? Or
age 6, I think we said 15,
15.
Because the high school students have community service hours that are a requirement for graduation, so we thought we'd offer them this opportunity. We think it's fun. You will have a brightly colored t-shirt that says "Welcome to Nantucket" and designates you as an island ambassador on the back, a bright cap. You'll have some relevant information to help people get to where they're going, whether it's a public restroom or an inn or a restaurant. And we really need our community members because they know Nantucket better than anybody. We'll designate some walking areas and they'll go out, hopefully in pairs, and walk around those neighborhoods and offer assistance when they can. Really help us put the best, most hospitable face forward to our visitors. So that's going to be the first 90 days. That's going to be the first little bit. My long-term goals are really to understand these economic engines of both cultural opportunities and tourism, and how we can maximize our resources beyond the peak season, because we all know that we can count on July and August as a revenue source. But what we hear from a lot of businesses, just tangentially, not in a measurable way yet, they want events and they would welcome opportunities to expand those openings through the shoulder seasons and even into the winter. So how can we work with them and support them to keep Nantucket vibrant year-round? So I'm really excited.
I think you have a real challenge on that in the fall because of the weddings.
Yes.
And the fact that there's no room for anybody else.
That's right.
Anywhere.
That's right.
At least during the weekends.
That's right.
And,
the Thursday through Sunday. So we're going to be collecting a lot of information, doing a lot of listening. Really grateful to our Visitor Services Advisory Committee. We have 7 great members who are excited to be a part of this kind of growth. And Peter Morrison is on that, so he's really going to be my right hand for data collection and what kinds of questions we should be asking. But in general, I think that this is a really wonderful opportunity for the community to have us paying attention to these different areas, and I'm excited to be the one to do it.
Is there any data on how many people visitors they serve, either by phone or email, or on the other hand, in person?
We have some what I'm calling old school technology, which is some clickers on our table. When we get a phone call regarding lodging bookings, we click it. When people come in, we click it. And it's...
you have a different one for visitors, people who come in person? And
yes, and depending on the questions they ask. So I think that there are some mechanisms in place to track that. And this is just the kind of questions we want to talk about in our organizational assessment is, Are we collecting the right data to give us the information that we can really use to make effective decisions? If not, so what would that data be? And are there better ways for us to collect it? And there may not be, but there may be. So we're going to ask those questions and see where they take us.
Maybe you can get an app for your phone.
That's right. I like to think there could be a better way, but sometimes old school is the best way.
That's right.
It's tried and true.
What are the objectives of the new cultural district and the role you're going to be playing
Sure.
as liaison to it? But
Sure.
let's start with the cultural district
Yeah.
itself. What really is the purpose
So
of that?
The state, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, was given permission through the state legislature to start these designations. And I think there's 33 communities with these designations. And essentially what they're asking us to do is to mobilize collectively as leaders in cultural economy to collect data. We're collecting metrics. They give us suggestions of what they'd like to see, but they really give us a lot of latitude so that the data is relevant to our community. And with that data, my belief is they will take that to the state legislature to advocate for what the economic impact of the cultural economy is throughout the state. And then if we need increased funding to go to the Cultural Council for various grant programs or support programs, we actually have the data to give them to say what an impact it makes. Janet Schulte, who's the director of the Chamber of Commerce, said to me that the Cultural Council and the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism really are like first cousins, and that the state is really recognizing culture and tourism as distinct economic engines, but that work synergistically together. So with our cultural district...
excuse me for interrupting, but the Massachusetts Department of Transportation has done the same thing with air service.
That's right.
And the economic impact of that. So it all ties together.
That's right. And you can tell when you go to the State House. I was invited by Janet to join her for the Regional Tourism Council Lobbying Day. When you go to meet with state representatives or state senators on behalf of whatever issue you're advocating for, having those metrics in a digestible form gives them the information that they need to take a position on whether to, when they're voting on those budgets, whether to support the funding or not to. So in some ways, I feel like it's our obligation to give them that money because we do want that to come back. Massachusetts Cultural Council is given grant money to the Artists Association most recently for their capital campaign to build the Arts Center. They gave very generously to the Dreamland and during our capital campaign. So they're funding projects that benefit our community, and this just seems to be the next natural step. On May 12th, the Cultural District will be presenting to the Chamber of Commerce members and guests at a business after hours. And then on the 18th, we'll give a presentation to the Board of Selectmen, just with a community update on what you can expect to see as a result of our district designation. But I think it's a really wonderful initiative, and my role in it will be on the executive committee of the district, and making sure that the town is represented.
Does it have an impact directly on something like the Athenaeum or the Dreamland or the Theater Workshop or?
No, it doesn't have an impact directly, except for our marketing efforts will affect each organization directly. So we'll have a cultural district map, for example, where you could take a self-guided walking tour through the mapped designated area, and in it we'll highlight for you where these cultural organizations and partners are and what you can expect to see. That gives other agencies like the Chamber of Commerce a real marketing attractive marketing piece, because the Chamber of Commerce can only advertise 50 miles outside of Nantucket. So we want people to come to Nantucket because of it.
Who did that big ad in Logan? Who
I
paid
don't
for
know.
that big ad in Logan?
I don't know. I can't speak to that. I don't know anything about
There's
it.
one in Terminal
Yeah.
C.
Yeah.
Huge wall thing.
Well, I think that's considered to be that
Maybe 50 miles.
Yeah, that's
That's a stretch.
Yeah, that may be. I'll let you ask Janet that question.
So I will.
But you know, it's another attractive element to get people to come here again, particularly in those shoulder seasons for our arts festival or for you know, whatever things that people are working on through the shoulder seasons. So I don't think you'll be able to see a direct funding connection, but we will hope to see an impact of increased visitors and increased grant opportunities because of it.
And the visitors, at least, would play into the
That's right.
into the needs of the arts organizations.
That's right.
Yeah.
And for our what we're calling our assets around us, which are the restaurants and shops, if they start to see if we can demonstrate an increase of volume of visitors and or residents coming down to partake in it, then it gives them incentive to stay open. And what I think we all want is a reason for those businesses to stay open. I think they would if they felt that there was a compelling need to. So we'll see how that works. That may be in 5 years, but right now we have to start with the data collection.
So in 3 sentences, how would you summarize your current role?
My current role. I think that my role is to represent the town and the community at both the state and local level for cultural and tourist economic incentives and ideas. It's to make sure that our visitors have a wonderful experience and understand what amenities we have. Not just in the peak months, but in the summer months. Except beyond the summer months for them. And that we want to make sure that whoever wants to use the brand of Nantucket to promote rather an event or any kind of sporting activity, something like that, that we maintain our brand control on that.
Great. Well, thank you, Melissa.
My pleasure.
Best of luck to you.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate coming on all the time.